be talking about my book, Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light. I wrote the book in 1989, part 1, and I wrote part 2 in 2012. So I'm here to answer your questions. I'm delighted to do that. First question I see, how has living the spiritual life helped you deal with hardships? And do you think you would have dealt with these things differently if you weren't a spiritual person? Well, when you are aware of the spiritual aspect of yourself, you understand that love is really all there is. And so I've always tried my best to respond to whatever happened to me with love and compassion, and forgiveness is part of that as well. If I wasn't a spiritual person, I might be doing it the way I see other people responding to things in their life, which creates more aggression, disharmony, anger, and you're going down the negative path. And so I'm very happy that I am a spiritual person. I feel it has enhanced my life and all the challenges I've met tremendously. The next question is, knowing what you do now, what advice would you give your 13-year-old self? That is such a nice question. I once had a dream that I met the 13-year-old daughter of my first boyfriend before I met my husband. And what I said to her was, right now you might feel a little awkward and unsure of yourself. Maybe not even liking yourself that much, but as you get older, you're going to grow into your true beauty. You're going to grow into the beautiful woman that you were meant to be. Have confidence in yourself. Follow your dreams. Follow your heart. Connect with the love that you have around you and use that to gain your strength, and you will see your life will be good. Most 13-year-olds are feeling insecure, not knowing where they're headed. They're completely immersed in their peer group and they don't see beyond that. They have feelings about what's beyond that, but they don't really see it. It's hard to see for them. So 13-year-olds of any, whether it's girls or boys, need a lot of confidence and security coming from their parents and their teachers. Do you plan on writing any more books? This is a big book, and people look at it and they can feel a little intimidated, but the truth of the matter is, and I just got an email today saying this woman is halfway through her book, my book that she bought for me, and she can hardly wait to finish it. It goes so fast. And in the future, I think if I do write, it will be shorter articles, things of a shorter manner, not another book. It took so much out of me to make this book what I wanted it to be, to fit my vision, that I don't think I could go into that again. I was much younger when I began. Do people send you their stories and questions on Facebook frequently? Are you able to respond to them and offer some? Absolutely. I'm not a big Facebook person. I personally, I like LinkedIn for professional purposes, and I'm not the kind of person that is going to share what I had for lunch or dinner that day. It's not that important to me to take up someone's time with. But I do use Facebook for finding people that need help. And that's when I step in, and I'll either do it anonymously. What I mean is I will send healing energy to them, or I will answer put in a comment and tell them that I'm doing it. And I have offered my help on occasion when people were suffering a lot. I've offered my help, and people that I've offered it to always accepted it. And sometimes there are questions that are about the loss of a loved one, and they see a sign and they want to know if that's a real sign or if they're crazy. And I help people in any way I can on Facebook. That's for me the way that I find it fulfilling. You teach people how to see their own auras as well as those of others. What is that process like, and how are people moved by being able to tap into that? Oh, that is such a wonderful thing. When I have a workshop and I show people how they can see their auras, we're all gathered around the mirror, and one person at a time stands in front of the mirror, and I help them to see their aura. Once I help them, they're able to do it on their own. But here's the amazing thing. Everyone who's there is looking at the mirror and seeing that person's aura. Everyone is able to see the light. And then when they step in front of the mirror, they see their own light. And so the biggest teaching of that is that I have a light that is beautiful, and you have a light that is beautiful, and we all have light. We're all basically souls. We are light beings crushed into this human body, this physical form. And when we see our light and we see the light of others, it's beyond anything. It just connects us in a different way. There's a bonding that takes place where you could talk to somebody for hours or know them for a long time in order to bond. But when you see someone's light, you're instantly connected and bonded. It's a wonderful experience. And there's a practical reason for getting to know your own aura, and that is you can track your aura so that you know what it looks like. When your aura is shining brightly and it's wide and big, you know you are in good health. When you are not feeling well, you'll notice that your aura closes in on you and may not be shimmering as much. And sometimes you don't know that you're having a problem, but you'll see it in your aura first. And as soon as you see something in your aura that's different, your own consciousness, by concentrating on that, will understand the reason. You'll know that maybe you drank too much alcohol, or maybe you've been eating the wrong foods, or maybe you've been arguing too much with your partner. You'll instinctively know why your aura. You say, oh, that's because of that terrible argument we had last night. Now look at my aura. So it's a wonderful way to modulate your own life without having anyone else having to tell you anything. And I'm sorry about my voice. I had surgery on my throat, so as I talk, my voice gets a little rougher. What spiritual leaders do you look up to? In what way have they influenced your writing of Song of the Heart? The spiritual leaders I've looked up to are major people like Jesus. When I think about Jesus, and I had a lifetime with him, that inspires me to write with love. When I think about the Baal Shem Tov, who was the leader of the Hasidic movement in Judaism and tried to transform Judaism from being somber to being joyful and lighthearted. He was a master, and are we still on air? My screen went black. And he taught joy, and so I like to bring joy into my work, and I think of him and his truth. And so I write with truth. There are many other spiritual masters I've been influenced by, and they all come together through my own energy and work to come out through my voice and through my healing work. Now I can't see the screen, so I can't see the questions.
You can see the screen. Oh. There you go. Are you finished with that one, or did you want to go to the next? Okay.
Yes.
Here's the next.
How did you come up with the title Song of the Heart? Did you have any other titles in mind before you went ahead and went with this one? Well, in the introduction, I write about it, and I had this, I woke up early in the morning at dawn, and I saw in my mind a vision of a field of golden light. And in that field of golden light was a book, and the book was shining, and on its cover it said Song of the Heart. And I knew that I was going to write that book, and everything in the book was in my head. It was all in my mind, every word, every paragraph. I could not write fast enough to get it out on the page. And in 1989, when that happened, I was writing longhand, and I didn't have a computer. I had a word processor. And so it was laborious work, and it took about 14 months to get what was in my head onto the paper. And it was really quite amazing. And part two also came to me in a spiritual way. It was March of 2012, and I knew that part two was coming because I had just finished editing part one, giving it a fresh look, fresh feel, bringing it up to date. And all of a sudden, in my head, there was a golden light. And coming forth from that golden light were these words, and I ran to write them out. Now I had a computer. And that was chapter one of part two, which is called The Structure of All That Is. And that is about all that is, where we come from, how we are connected to everything else that is created. And that is 10 pages that came to me in 10 days. And then after that, I proceeded to write part two, which I put into a journal form. And it's all that is very esoteric and highly spiritual, and people love it. It's, so many people have experiences and they don't know if they could trust their experiences, such as they think maybe their grandmother who passed away came to visit them in a dream, and they don't know to take it seriously. And when you read my book, you will learn that, yes, take it seriously. That is, if you had that dream, that's the way your grandmother is coming to you, or deceased parents, loved ones. Anyone will come to you in a dream because we're relaxed. At that time, the mind is relaxed and we're able to bring it through. So part two is a very, very important part of the book. Can you touch a little bit on the purification process and dedicating time to becoming a true spiritual seeker? The purification process is on my website, and it's in my book, and that also came to me. It was 1997 or something like that. I don't remember the exact year. And I was getting ready to go out, and I was living in New York then, in a beautiful apartment. I was married, and all of a sudden I started to get this message came through saying, pick up your pencil and write. And so I did. I stopped what I was doing and I went to write, and out came what was the purification process. And it's all about how to purify ourselves from the negative training that we've been indoctrinated in, such as, and we take it for granted because control is all around us. Everything is, we're being controlled from the minute we go to school. We're told where to stand, where to line up, where to sit, how to do everything. And we have to do it like everyone else. So that control factor gets put into us. And actually, we are not supposed to be controlling one another. When we start controlling, and as parents, sometimes parents make that error in good faith of controlling their children and telling them what they should be when they grow up and what school they should go to if their father or mother went there, and we do exercise control over our children. But it's really each child is entitled to their own free will and decisions, and if we think it's wrong, maybe we see it that way, but we could be interfering by trying to control them. Let them have their experience, and if it doesn't work out, they're a person like every other person, they'll try something else. And so letting go of control is one of the first aspects of the purification process. And it goes that way. And if you really want to read it in detail, it's beautiful. It's so enlightening. And I went through the purification process. The chapter that follows the structure of all that is called purification. And when I started writing it, I didn't know if I had already been purified or if I was still going to become purified. I didn't know where I was on that line. And of course, you're engaged in purifying yourself throughout your life. So yes, in some ways, I had already begun the purification process. In other ways, I had to begin it. And so if you're a true spiritual seeker, you engage in this wholeheartedly, because what you want to be as pure a vessel as you can be, so that when your love light shines, it shines purely to other people. That's very important, because we do have a frequency, each one of us, and we want that frequency to be as high as it can be. That brings us good health, brings us joy, it brings us information that we need, it shows us the way. It's a wonderful thing when you raise your frequency. And so by engaging in the purification process, you're automatically raising your frequency. As soon as you set your mind on it, you're raising your frequency. Just say, yes, I want to purify myself, and you have already raised your frequency. So that's important. Buy my book, read it, keep it, look at it on my website. It's there for you. How important do you think it is to let go of the past and not blame people for how they've mistreated you before? I can tell you that how important it is, it's absolutely essential. The most important thing that we can do right now, as we come to the end of this long 26,000-year cycle, is let go of the past. And the reason is that the past no longer applies. All that we have gone through and taken into ourselves from our ancestors' suffering, and it's part of our story. Our parents, our grandparents told each succeeding generation the story of their suffering and how they came to the United States and what they went through in the old country and all of that. And even here, suffering that began here. It's time to let go of that, because this cycle, humanity chose to learn through pain and suffering. But the good news is, dear friends who are watching, listening, the new cycle, humanity is choosing to live in joy. So let go of all the old grievances, all the people that have caused you pain. And I personally have just gone through that process myself with someone who hurt me a lot, someone who I loved a lot and loved with all my heart and hurt me a lot. And many of us have those kinds of relationships. And now that it's at the end of his days, I saw him and felt nothing but love and compassion, and that created a huge healing, not only for him, but for me. And that is very important. We do not want to hold on to old grievances, old pain. We don't want to keep repeating the story of what someone did to hurt us, because we basically take part in everything. It's all part of our learning here on earth. So we really have to let go of it, forgive. You're not letting anyone off the hook when you forgive. You're unburdening your own self when you forgive. You are lighter. You look better. You have a glow on you. When we walk around with a lot of blame for other people, it weighs us down, and we don't walk straight. We don't hold ourselves up straight. We are literally burdened by our own emotions. So, dear friends, let go of all blame. Look inside yourself and see what you have learned. And I guarantee and promise you, you've learned something from that experience. And then bless the person that taught you that. And then let go of it. It's the only way to be. What's your favorite otherworldly adventure? What does it teach you? I have so many. But I will tell you a sneak preview. Promise to buy Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light. And in the end, you will find that I go back to the planet that I come from. And what I learned from that was totally amazing. What I learned from that was when you are in a place of true love, which exists outside third dimension, Everything is about service. We just live to help others raise their frequency. We live to help others find a way out of their stuck places. We live to enlighten cultures and bring mankind along. The only other lives I've seen myself in is a human on Earth. That's my attachment is to Earth. We do get very attached to Earth. The beauty of the planet, the people that we love here, the people that we interact with here. And so that experience of going back to my planet, where everything is love, and you are totally supported in everything you do. Whatever idea you have is totally supported because every idea you have is in service to others. There is no ego. I found myself standing in a golden light body form. It was me. I was multidimensional, able to see myself. I saw what I looked like while I was in myself, which was miraculous. And it sort of looked like me, but in a golden light body. And it was all peace and love, and it is not boring to live in a place like that. It is incredibly exciting because your consciousness is unlimited and there's no end to what you can do, what you can create. And you create everything from a desire to help others. And so your creativity expands exponentially. Then you come back to Earth and you try to implement it here and you find yourself slogging through mud like we have had nightmares where we can't run, we can't hardly walk because we feel like our feet are stuck to the ground. That's what it feels like on Earth, to make something happen. But we learn. Eventually we learn and we get there. Do you think that technology has contributed to society's false sense of security and inability to make real connections with people and ourselves? Well, that's up to us. I know people who live in cyberspace. Their friendships are all Facebook friends, and they can spend hours and hours and hours a day just on Facebook. So for me, I love face-to-face. I love sitting and talking to people. If I get into a conversation with a friend, I'll say, you know what, we have so much to talk about, let's run out and meet for coffee. Let's sit and look at each other. Let's get out and be with each other instead of on the phone. Or instead of long emails, I'll often write in my emails, it's too much to write in an email, meet me for coffee, meet me for lunch. And I get people out. I do. I get people out to meet me, and then that's what we do. Then we start meeting, and it's so much better to be together with people. Technology used to its highest good is absolutely wonderful. There's no question about it. And I think you all know what its highest good is. When it's used for a lower purpose, then of course it's not good at all. So when there's instructions on how to do bad things out there and people can pick up on that and do it, or see imagery that implants negativity in their minds and their consciousness, this is not good either. So it's up to us what we want to put on technology, what we want to use it for. It's all determined by humans, what we want to use our technology for. Try not to use it to keep you separated from others. Use it to connect. Did you have any fears when you began writing this book? What were they? You better believe I had fears. I had tons of fears. And I had a spirit guide constantly telling me to have no fear. And I said, oh, I don't have any fears. But of course I did. The biggest fear was that I'm essentially a private person, and I've learned to sacrifice that for the purpose of bringing my book out and the teachings and the higher consciousness that it can bring. So, of course, I was afraid, what would people think when I reveal all these parts of myself? Will they think I'm crazy? Will they think I'm stupid? Will they not have compassion for me? How will they look at me? And I felt, because I felt the presence of spirit with me throughout the whole writing, that I was doing something that had to be done. It was a spiritual commitment that I made, probably from a past life, and didn't complete, and I had to complete it. And so I did it. And I find that people who read the book actually, they resonate with me. I wrote with truth. I wrote complete truth. Everything that's in that book is truth. I sometimes had to collapse a couple of scenes to make it readable and not too spread out. But every word of dialogue is exactly what people said. Every word is exactly, it was in my memory, everything that people said. And I had to let go of that fear. And I tell you, people have made it easy for me. People have made it easy. I just got another email today. Every day I get emails from people who tell me how they felt the same way when that happened to them, or it happened to their mother or their grandmother or whatever. People are telling me also that they feel different when they finish. They have a higher sense of compassion in them and a sense of oneness. And I feel that I fulfilled my mission, and I've had to let go of a lot of that fear. That's true. Once you let go of your fears, the whole world opens up, I can tell you. The whole world opens up for you once you let go of your fears. Fear is the opposite of love. Think about that for a minute. Can you speak to unity consciousness and its importance in our lives? Unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is everything. I've been having lately, the past few days, information has been coming to me. When you read my book, you'll find that I went and have traveled to the Crystal Library, where I was shown things and taught things that I don't remember necessarily until the time comes when I need to remember it. There is something called resonance, and all that exists within a certain magnetic resonance, a frequency. As we raise our frequency, we are able to bring into our consciousness things of a nature that we need to make our lives more workable, because we're resonating at that high frequency, and we can bring it in and live a more harmonious life. And the unity consciousness is proven every day. When we watch TV and we see people suffering, this morning I turned on the TV and I saw, I don't really have a TV, it's in the vanity of my bathroom mirror. That's my TV, I watch it early in the morning and then turn it off. And I see people suffering in China, around the world. I don't know who they are, and I know that you feel the same way. Your heart cries for them. You know how they feel when you see a father crying that his son was at the top of that mountain with his girlfriend. You see him crying, you start to cry. That's unity consciousness. It's part of us. You know, humanity is a beautiful species. We were designed to help one another. We were designed to love one another. That's why we feel good when we're in love, because we're feeling it in a very powerful way. When we love someone and they love us back, and not only romantic love, of course. You know, when I talk about love, I mean all kinds of love. Love for the homeless person that you see in the street if you live in a city. Love for your neighbor. Love for anyone you pass. Love for people that you're sitting in a room with. When you feel that love and people turn around and look at you and you feel that they're liking you, loving you in return, it's a wonderful feeling. When somebody helps you, you remember that. And it's nourishing. When you help someone else, even if you don't know them, whoever it is, in whatever way, small ways, big ways, that uplifts your whole day that you were able to help someone. And so that's how we were designed, to help one another, to love one another, and to be in that unity consciousness. Talking about it brings tears to my eyes. It is the most authentic way to live, with awareness of the unity consciousness. And when you read my book, you read about that. Last question was the screen. The screen goes out. I'm not a technological person. Okay. The last question is, if readers can only take away one thing from this book, what would it be and why? The most important thing that I would speak about to anyone who wants to sit with me and listen is love. Love is really the only force in the universe that works. We're born from love, we thrive in love, and it's not just human beings, it's not just us. Of course, we have a soul. The soul is pure love. It's everything around us. It's our whole ecological system. It's all the animals and birds. It's the air that we breathe. Everything thrives in love. And we need to remember that, because we are not loving our planet the way we need to love it. And so it cannot give back to us. If we do not love our planet, it cannot love us. Human beings are powerful beings. We need to wake up to our own power and recognize how far we can go with our own power. I teach self-empowerment and how we can use our self-empowerment to go around the world. When we begin to remember how Mother Earth serves us and stop throwing garbage into the oceans and killing the fish, and being more careful with our use of energy, when we are more aware of how we live our daily life, not to bring refuse into the world. And refuse can be any form. It can be our words, where we speak unkindly. It can be our actions, where we are destructive. It can be any form. When we stop doing that and start loving everything around us, then everything around us will be more supportive of everything we do. And love, of course, begins with inside ourselves, loving ourselves. And if anyone, I just wrote this to a dear friend who was having a nervous breakdown the other day, and she sent me a text, what should I do? And I said to her, I'll give you the shortcut. Remember, that divinity lives inside you. You are divine. You are divine love. You are part of God. Love that divinity within you. Love that divinity. The divinity within you is also all around you. Every breath we take is divine love. I do this in a guided healing meditation. Every breath we take, think about it. You're bringing in the life force into your body. That's love. And that's what keeps us going from moment to moment, every day, every second, every moment, every hour. It is love that keeps us going. And the greater love that we have to share, the more love we have in our lives, the more we thrive. So that's the big takeaway from Song of the Heart, Walking the Path of Light. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and blessings.